Hi, I'm Lou Rosalia. They're just lying to you. The questions they're asking, they're not real. They want other answers. That's today's topic on Crew Call. Joining me to help answer those questions, unpack those questions, guess at their real meaning, are my esteemed group of interviewees, Mr. Scott Glozzi, Frank Ferro, and Joe Ferro. Welcome, guys.
Welcome,
Thanks,
Lou.
Professor.
Thanks, Lou.
You
Love the
notice?
jacket, Lou. You look great.
Yeah. Well, today's show, we're going to talk about job interviews and interview questions. And we're going to talk about the formal process and the informal process. Because in production, not all interviews are formal. So we're going to take both sides of that. But questioning is important. And one of the things I've learned is that the person doing the interview, either formally or informally, may be asking you questions, but they're really not looking for the literal answer. They're looking for the subtext of how you're answering that. And that gives them deeper meaning into what they're looking for. Joe, questioning is an art, and you're really good at it. So is interrogating, and you're also good at that. So what do you think's most effective? Is it situational? Being an interrogator or a questioner?
Car jumpers on them and a bucket of water. It's the most effective.
I think it's called torture.
Waterboarding is second.
Get him to talk.
Okay. I don't even know what you asked me. Say it again.
Nothing. It doesn't even matter because that was just such a great answer. That was just such a great answer. Frank, how do you respond to questions? Do you like being questioned? Does it bother you?
By him?
By anybody? Yeah, let's stick with him.
Growing up with him, no, that's the worst thing. And actually, it's even worse when he doesn't speak.
Yeah.
Because then you start pouring information out that he's not even asking for.
and he's saving electricity.
So I guess that kind of answered his question, or your question. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
We're talking about being questioned, and are you comfortable? Some people don't like being questioned.
Well, I usually try and I mean, depends what the question is, but I don't like talking about myself too much or talking for that long. So usually I'll end whatever I'm answering with turning it around and kind of asking them a question, because most people do like talking about themselves. So yeah, I mean that's how I would answer.
Step brothers.
Yeah, that's how I would.
We're asking the questions now.
Yeah. So yeah, I would usually just turn it around.
Gloz, are you comfortable on both sides of the questioning equation, asking them as well as being asked questions?
Yeah, I kind of like talking about myself, unlike Frank. But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable. I've always been like naturally comfortable in interviews, I think. And I've never really interviewed someone for a job, like interviewed them to work for me, So I'm kind of curious as to how I will be at that when the time does come. But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable on both sides, I'd say.
What would it is you say you do here?
Not much. I just smile and do this a lot.
Yeah. That's a good. Okay, so let's go. You ready? Here's the 4 questions. We're going to start with the first one, and I'm going to give you the literal question, Joe, and then I'm going to ask you, what do you think they're really going for? Like, what's behind the question?
I have a question.
Ready?
I have a question first. Did you purposely
please.
wear a sport jacket today because you were going to play the employer and the boss?
Yeah. There you go. Wow, and the tiny mug.
Wow, I feel like you need like a pipe also.
Corn cob. Yeah, you do.
Okay,
You got to
go
pack
ahead.
it first with like
Go
an
ahead,
nail.
Lou. Ask your 4 questions.
Good. I'm a method actor.
The
Okay,
tweed
go ahead.
jacket.
Question 1. This is the literal question, and I want to know what's behind it. Joe, tell me about yourself. What do you think's behind it?
If I was asking that question, because I don't know the formal way what it would be, but if I asked that question, what I'm
would you be
looking for is nerves. What I'm looking
Nerve.
for is where they go with that question, what they think is important in it. And then, as Frank said, one of the things I like to do is be quiet. I'll ask a question and then I'll let them stumble and talk. And then when they stop talking, they think they should keep talking. And that, for me, I'm looking more at the body language, the anxiety of the moment. I don't really care about the answer.
That's interesting because I'm not going to give you the answer yet. I'm going to go to Frank. Frank, what's your knee-jerk reaction to that? Like when you're in the interview situation and they say, "Hey, Frank, tell me about yourself." What do you go? What's your go-to?
I don't even know if I've ever been in like an interview.
Well, I mean, all right. So take it to the production interview. You're first meeting the crew you're going to work with. You're getting to know them, and the guy comes over and says, "Hey, dude."
Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, not quite.
No,
that.
I know.
Let me give you the setup, Lou. It would be an executive producer. It would be an executive who is a new face on the set, and that is an interview process,
Right.
informal interview process, and they would present themselves to Frank with that question.
Yeah, I mean, I've over the years I think have become pretty good at answering that without directly bragging, I guess,
Right.
or anything like that, where I can kind of tell you what I do professionally in maybe in that certain situation or what I have done other places, and then you start kind of name dropping here and there, whether it be networks or companies that you work for and blah blah blah. And then I'll drop a couple different types of things to see what kind of like gets them like, oh, what's that? Or like and Jittercam's usually a big thing that I talk about, especially if I think that they don't know what it is.
Right.
And then I start explaining it, and I'll be like, oh, actually, I have a video of it, which I did with a director on another job once, and he was like all interested in, because then that also is me also, pumping up Jittercam and kind of selling them to people that might not know about them. So I guess that's how I would answer that question.
That's a very good answer. Thank you for that answer, Frank. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
I put a big check on your
On my chart,
Call him back.
on your chart. That's going in your permanent file, Scott Ferro.
There you
my
go.
permanent record.
Gloss,
Yep.
that question, tell me about yourself, seems like a big opportunity to sell yourself and talk about yourself. How do you, what's your go-to? Launch
Well,
into it.
First,
So,
Lou,
Mr. Clausy, tell
first,
me.
I would
tell me about
love
yourself.
to thank you for having me at such a prestigious and successful establishment, and even the opportunity to interview here is a huge accomplishment for me, and I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Now, tell me about
I always
you.
like to start with a little bit of flattery. I've been on a bunch of interviews, so it's kind of, there's a little bit of a science behind it. You got to let them know how you know a little bit about the business that you're in. You got to let them know that you know about their business because you're interviewing there. And then, like you just said, it's a perfect opportunity to sell yourself. So I like to pull from my skill set and then kind of describe how I develop those skills. So, I'll always start with my leadership. Like I'm good at being in a group of my peers and actually, slipping into the role of a leader, one way or another. I always have been, and I always will be. So that's a huge skill set that I don't think you can really teach at an older age. And I feel like I'm on an interview right now. I feel like I'm doing pretty good too. So,
I can tell you you're not. I wouldn't hire you. Because I would just say he's full of shit.
was it the glasses?
I'm a good leader now, and I'm going to be a good leader in the future.
And I always
was
will
born
be.
a
I
leader.
always will
And
be.
maybe one day I'll take your job.
Oh, you guys are the best. You guys are truly the
No,
best.
but
Okay,
no.
so,
All jokes aside, you have
Yeah.
to like, you got to put it on the line. Like you said, they're not looking for who you are. They know who I am. I sent them my resume. Like I should ask you who I am. At this point. But yeah, you got to highlight your skills, how you develop them, why you do what you do, and you have to show some sort of passion. And using those kind of guidelines, I've always done decently. I've always done pretty well on interviews, I think.
How the hell
So-
did you ever come work for me?
I don't know. I have no clue, man.
Go ahead. Professor Lou,
so,
go ahead.
So all three of you are right, and I think Frank is the most right. Yay, Frank. That's why you got the check.
We're very
so the real
competitive.
answer is, according to the research, the tell me about yourself question, they're really asking, why are you a good fit? And I thought that was interesting because Joe went to the, are you going to be nervous? Is your body language? How are you going to react? He went to the physical meters and reads. Frank went to the, I'm going to fit because I know all this stuff, Jittercam, whatever. And Claus just went personality and skill. That was good. That was good. Okay, second question. is. All right, here it is. Here
Are
it is.
these
here it is.
your questions, or
No,
are these like
no. These are the top 4 interview questions that they have, and then what they're really looking for.
in just general interviews, or is this like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter,
General-
just any type of interview?
No, just general interviews, management training. You know, this is what you management training. That's what you learn. Okay. The question is, what do you know about us, Joe?
I can respond with one, and I've done literally hundreds of these interviews. I was not trained in HR. I do not
Right.
go through a management training.
You did not.
But I kind of know how to talk to people. I've had one
100%.
person
100%.
who still works with us, he completely caught me off guard because he started quoting me and saying things that I've said and was asking me, Joe, at this one time you said blah, 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 blah. What exactly did you mean by that? And I just sat there and went, how creepy is this? How do you know I said that? And I forget, obviously I'm a public figure, my stuff's everywhere.
Yeah.
But he spent time and he read stuff about me and then was bringing it up to me, which was totally creepy.
Wow.
But like I said, he's still with us now because he's just that brilliance. I just couldn't pass on it because I don't hire by talent. I hire by if you entertain me. And he truly entertained me.
Still does.
That's true.
He still does.
That's true. Frank, how bad do you think it is in an interview situation to not know that type of stuff? Maybe not to the extent that Joe just went through, but like if you really don't know a lot about the company, you're just going in to just pitch you.
Well, one, it's just, just shows that you're not prepared, and it could reflect on how you might not be prepared for something else, like to actually represent their company or whatever you're doing for them. It also could be dangerous because you could say something stupid that it directly affects their company or that person that you're talking to. So if you don't know anything about their past, if you make some joke or you just say something inappropriate that directly affects them or the company, then yeah, it could be that second question could be the end of the interview.
Yeah. Could be the fatal question.
Yeah.
Gloss, how important do you think it is in an interview to kind of show that you're like a fan of the organization?
Wear a jersey.
It shows that you're number one prepared, and it shows that you actually want to work there. Yeah,
Did he say wear a jersey?
Yeah. Wear a jersey to the interview.
well, that's number one. Always wear your jersey of the interview. No, yeah, I think it's important not to show that you're a fan, like you celebrate them, but at least you need to show some sort of knowledge that you know about the company, that you know where you're interviewing, because you can't just go into a place looking for a position, whether that's a high position or a lower end position, and just not know where you're interviewing. You have to be prepared. There's like Frank said, preparation is very important, especially with interviews. So yeah, I say it's super important. You got to do a little bit of research. You got to know where you're interviewing, and if you can, you should know who you're interviewing with, and that'll even help farther.
So, Boz, if you were going to interview at, let's say, Lucasfilms,
Well, yeah. Okay.
so you're telling me you wouldn't wear some type of Star Wars paraphernalia or
Wear his
your
helmet.
helmet,
It'd be hard not to.
pajama pants?
It'd be hard not to, but I've been preparing for that interview my entire life. So I think I'll be ready. It doesn't matter what I can go there naked and I'll get the job.
Lou, let me get a little serious because I didn't really get a chance to answer that question thoroughly.
Go ahead.
A lot of people who we've interviewed have not and did not know what shows we worked for or what we did. And that to me is, you're off right off the bat, because if you're just looking for a paycheck, I don't want you here. But on the same thing, it's not exactly a job interview, but it's a pitch interview when you're coming in with a show and you're pitching a treatment to a showrunner or to a greenlighter and somebody up there. You better know what their skew is. You better know everything that goes on their network. You better know, and not just rattle off names that you picked off of a sheet. You better actually have watched and know how they work And most importantly, we're in a very unique industry where people's names are attached to their product. So watch credits, know who's there, and be able to relate to those things. And so I guess it's like I said, it's not an interview process because I've not done many of those, but it's definitely I'm presenting myself to an organization or to a network or to a production house, and you're trying to get a gig, and you really do need to have a deep understanding. And if you go in with that superficial bullshit, you're gonna get called on it, because don't forget, the person you're talking to
Is the person.
is the person.
Yeah.
To even go more off of what he's saying, specifically to that type of to pitching a show to a network or something like that, knowing their audience and who they go after. Don't go in there having some show that should go on Comedy Central and you're trying to bring it to like some serious like primetime like ABC or something like that. I don't even know what something that's completely, and you're pitching this show and they're in here like, why would you even bring this to us? Because one, you probably would, I would assume, get laughed out of the room, and it's because of our business the way it is small at every level. Other people are going to hear about that.
Yeah. Even to build off that, like I know I'm the third guy now, Lou, but I'll be quick. Like on Frank and I's end, like Frank does a lot, way more than I do, but we both have a chance when we're going into a new studio to literally see exactly what we're going to be doing. And for example, what I mean is if I'm going into a new show to shoot a specific show for a specific network, I'll put the show on and I'll watch it a few times and I'll see what Steadicam moves I need to be doing or what moves I need to be actually good at, you know? Yep. And then once I see that, it just gives me confidence that I can go in there and say, hey, yeah, I worked here, 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 and here. I've seen the show a bunch of times. I think it's great and I think I'd be a great fit. I do all these moves all the time, you know? So it just helps you to prepare, not for the interview, but even for the show itself that you're going to be working on.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even really think about that.
So the what do you know about us question is the forward-facing question, and what they really want to know is, are you taking this interview seriously? And I think each and every one of you said just how do you do that? You do your homework, you come prepared, you know who's doing what. And yeah, it's all about the preparation.
They would ask that question.
What? Are you taking
it seriously?
No.
Oh,
No,
I thought that was the third question.
No. They would ask you, what do you know about us? And what they want to find out is are you actually taking this seriously?
They should start just in the middle of an interview.
Are you taking this seriously?
No. Hey, you taking this seriously?
Ronnie, listening?
I've used that question, but I phrase it differently.
Yeah.
What do you want to know about us? Here, we got some time right now. Do me a favor. What do you want to know? You got me here. Let's talk. What do you want to know? Why'd you pick us? Why are you here?
Ask an insider, for example.
What do you want to know?
Shameless plugging. Shameless.
It was right there.
Ask an insider on Ferro TV.
Ferro TV has a lot of good programming.
Okay, Lou, go ahead. I'm sorry. Professor
Question
Lou.
Question four. The forward-facing question is, tell me about a time when fill in the blank, appropriate to the position you're going for. What do you think they're going for?
Please don't go to me first.
No, I'm not. I'm going to Claus because he looks like he knows exactly what he's going to say right now.
Yeah. So oh man.
Welcome to the studios, Claus. Tell me about a time when.
So what I would want to do is I would want to turn it around and tell them about a time when something went bad, but I learned how to problem solve. So maybe that's the hidden meaning, you know?
Good one.
I don't know if that's right or not, but...
Good one. We'll give him the Family Feud answer. Oh! Good one. Frank? Tell me about a time when X, Y, and Z, and what do you think they're really asking you to demonstrate?
I would go, because I don't want to take Claus's answer, I would go a time when I was very appreciative to what I was doing for a living. So give him a setting or a place or an event that I was working where I was like, wow, holy shit, like this is really cool. Because then maybe that demonstrates the passion that you have and the appreciation of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Good. Joe, you ready?
Yeah, which one of them's getting the check? Which one of them got the best answer?
Claus.
Okay, I agree with Claus.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Got to double check. We're done here. Well, you know what, Joe? Let me ask you this. since you've interviewed a bunch of people, how about telling one of those stories telling a negative story? Would that hurt them or help them in your eyes?
Is this a
So tell me
trick
about
thing?
a
Is this a trick question?
No, no, no. This isn't trick. I mean, this is just me asking you. Would you ask if you asked, tell me about a time when, and they didn't tell a positive story. They told like a kind of downer negative story that either turned out good or bad. Do you think that would help them or hurt them in your eyes?
It depends. Like what Glass said, if he turned it around, he had a problem, and he was able to redirect the problem, or he was able to solve it on the spot and able to do that. It wouldn't. Nobody's going to tell you a failure that they couldn't recover from.
Right.
Nobody's going to tell you that they failed and caused $2 million worth of ad. Nobody's saying that.
Rick Cipher.
I don't think Rick would go on it. Okay,
No.
I can't.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? He might have. I have to take that back. But
All right.
so anyway, no, it really is. It's the positive. You have to come in not overly confident, but confident enough. You have
Yeah.
to be comfortable in your skin. You have to be able to respond without You can be nervous, and you could have anxiety because that means it matters. So I'm okay with that. It's just a matter of. It's the whole package. I can't.
It's how it resolves.
Yeah, not one thing is the key for me.
Yeah.
I can
yeah.
build off that for a quick sec. Joe, and I'm going to ask you a question if that's okay with you, Lou.
Yeah, of
Joe,
course.
what if someone came in and said
Glasgow,
to
put a
you-
suit on, please.
What if someone came in and said to you flat out, like, hey, I'm really excited to be here. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited to meet you. Would that make you feel like they're more, like you would want to hire them more because they're excited in a good way?
Again, it's who the person is and how they say it. Because I would normally, if that was the case, I'd normally say, dude, there's nothing to be nervous about, or sweetheart, there's nothing to be nervous about.
Would you say that to me?
Yeah. I said, there's nothing to be nervous about. It's just me and you talking. It's not, nothing's going to, this isn't a win or lose situation. So let's just calm down. Me and you'll have a conversation and we'll go from there. So no, if you said it, but if you came in and said, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I don't even know what to say.
Throws
I don't know how
up
to
on the
answer
floor.
that. And I would say you shouldn't come to an interview doing meth. It's just probably not a good idea.
Never a good idea.
Lou, in your professional career, I'm sure you've interviewed a lot of people for
Yes.
positions and jobs. Have you ever? Do you have like a story of some crazy interview that you had of something?
Nice
That's
job,
a good
Frank.
one.
Nice job.
Going. No, yes, I do. It was the greatest story ever, but it's way too long to even talk about here. And it was about this guy who kept coming to the office and interviewing with different people in the firm, on the floor, and in the building. And he would come in and he would end up saying, no matter what, he was coming in for the job for X, Y, and Z. You do this whole thing with him. You go through your interview process. And then in the middle of the thing, and this happened to 7 people, he would say, by the way, I'm a Japanese Buddhist, whatever that means. He would look at his watch and he'd say, it's now, I have to just pray. It's time to do my work. Would you mind? I said, of course not. So this is how it started. He would go into his old Japanese Buddhist thing. He'd get on the floor. He'd say, I have to take my shoes off. Do you mind that? I said, no, of course not. Now it's getting crazier. So I'm starting to love it. And this is hysterical. Then he said, you know what? He went this little bit of an elaborate explanation about Japanese Buddhism, which is just all nonsense. It nothing to do with the reality of it. And he said, no one could be standing in the same space with me while they have shoes on and not are connected to the earth. Now, I know we're in a building, but we still have to be connected. Would you mind taking your shoes off? I said, yeah, no problem. So there I am sitting on my desk, no shoes on. He's doing his little thing, this, that,
try
the
that.
other thing. Yeah, it was great. So anyway, it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Finally, I said, okay, this interview's over because it started getting just weird. So now I'm going in my buddy Tony's office, who was another manager at the time, and I said to him, Tony was in the meeting with a third person, Dave, and Dave's standing on the wall, and I'm telling this story just like I'm telling you now. And Tony's like, are you kidding me? This guy was in here last week, And he made me do this. I took my socks off. I said, "You took your socks off," and it just went on and on and on. Meanwhile, Dave is just like this in complete horror, standing against the glass window. He was down to having his pants rolled up, his socks off. He had to go get a cup of water for the guy. The guy was blessing his feet. Turns out, long story short, he was just some freak who had some foot fetish, and he would go around to the offices and interview to see how far he can get to get us to take our socks off.
Good for him making it through 7 people before anybody
7
realized.
people.
Are you kidding me?
7 people. I called a meeting. We all went into the big conference room, and I said, "Okay, everybody, who's interviewed?" And I read the guy's name. I don't even remember what it was. And like literally 7 people got up, and we had the best time. Laughed like hell. Dave went the furthest. He went and actually rolled up his pants, got a cup of water, and they did a blessing.
Wow.
Dude, I was just going
hell.
to ask you if you could get me his contact information.
I'd
Because
love
I'd
to have
hire
him.
him tomorrow.
Great story. Great
That's
story.
awesome.
Japanese Buddhist guy. Yeah, legendary. Legendary. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting that entire
No.
answer, but
No. I
That
burnt
was-
a lot of time on that, but it was a good story. It was a really
Good, it's
story.
great.
That's great, Lou.
All right, so tell me about a time when that was the Ferro tracing question. What they really wanted to know was, prove it to me, which you guys all said. So that was the real hidden answer. Final one, and we're going to do this pretty quick, is why are you looking for a new job? Joe, what do you think? What do you think they're looking for there?
Did you get fired? Are you garbage? Are you getting? I mean, that would. If anybody answered that differently, they're an idiot. Because I've gotten fired from my last 3 jobs, so I'm just trying to fill the gap.
pretty bad at what I do. So
Something just isn't working out ever anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I probably wouldn't even use that question because it's ridiculous. Nobody would answer that.
Okay, Frank, what do you think?
I don't even I don't know how I don't even know what a hidden meaning behind that would be other than like I don't know, are you looking to start a new career, or are you like looking to learn something new, something like that, I guess.
Gloss?
I mean, Joe's got to be right. It's there's no way they're trying to find out why. If you got fired, if you're terrible, if you're just a not likable person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to figure out
It
why.
is. It's the total red flag question, like
Right?
Joe said.
Yeah.
It's like, just tell me something. What's the red flags here? What kind of crazy answer are you going to give me?
Because you can't ask questions like that. You can't ask a question directly.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Were you fired from your last job? Then it goes from you. That's an interrogation.
Self-incriminating.
Is it
type of
illegal to
thing?
ask that?
Yeah. There's so many things you can't ask.
It's so many.
Who
It's
makes these
crazy.
rules?
That's a good question. You should ask him in an interview.
Most of them are corporate protocol. But it's also if I make a off-color comment, I can be sued. She can walk out of there. He can walk out of there. Them can walk out of there, and I'm dead in the water.
Yeah, the whole referral thing, and we'll wrap up on this. But can you write me a referral letter and all that? We could never do that, and then we'd have people calling. Did Scott Glosey work at American Express? Yeah, how was he? I can neither confirm nor deny how he was. I can only guarantee that he worked here from X date to X date. That's it, right, Joe? Isn't that crazy?
Exactly the same. I mean,
How is that a referral then?
it's not.
No,
you can't. You can't rely on that.
It's just proving that your last.
Because they've asked me for, can you give me what was his last salary?
Yeah.
Then I can't. If I ask you a range, could you give me a range? No, I can't.
So how can you can't ask if you've been fired from your last job, but you can ask on an interview piece of paper or whatever if you've ever been convicted of a felony? Isn't that more self-incriminating than if you've been fired from a job?
No, because it's factual. It's not subjective.
But you were in fact fired.
But you were fired for what? Because your supervisor's an idiot? Because your supervisor was inappropriate? Supervisors have the power to fire you.
True.
So, but going to court and actually being convicted,
That's a little much.
It's
Yeah,
pretty much.
they don't have any power.
Well, that's public information too.
Yeah, that's a little black and white. So next week we're going to have our panel of lawyers getting us out of this. And with that, we are over 30 minutes with my long Japanese Buddhist story. Guys, thank you so much. I hope somebody got something out of this in terms of interview knowledge. That was the purpose of it. And I look forward to seeing everybody on our next job here
All
on Blue
right.
Call.
I'm going to go out and buy a suit now.
All right, Lou. I'm looking for your call to see if I can join your job team.
Good luck on everyone's interviews out there. Talk to you
Goodbye.
next time.
Goodbye.
See ya.